that was my my video take on the changes to Melee Magblade that they're proposing. With that said, we're gonna go right ahead and do the build reveal. Let me put a little music on here. So if they're gonna go through with that change, they've created this build. So for next patch, if they're gonna go through with the Melee Magblade, this is what I'm going to end up running, and it's even nastier than the build I run now, just because you can see it right there. The effective spell power, this is a no CP, effective spell power of almost 11,000, and of course that's whenever you secure a kill. The thing is, right, so I'm running the exact same gear, except I'm trading my one piece of Engine Guardian where I was running health recovery, because the build that I run right now has more regen. It's a very high regen spec, so my mag recovery will not change. My stam recovery will not change. My health recovery will go down by about 600. It's not even relevant because of the change to Dark Cloak. If I'm getting rid of Cloak and I'm running Dark Cloak, the shitty heal changes that they made, it's like 2.5% per second, will make up for what I'm losing right here, but I'll gain the damage reduction 8%, basically 100% uptime on Dark Cloak, which also means I'll have 100% uptime on 25% damage reduction to all AoEs. Like I said, to like things like Dawnbreaker, Shulk, almost all mag DK abilities outside of Whip and Embers are AoE. Magden, a lot of Magden abilities, their ult, most of their hard-hitting abilities are going to be reduced because of Mirage, because we gain access to Major Evasion, which reduces AoE damage by 25%. We gain an additional 8% from basically having 100% uptime on Dark Cloak. And then we're also going to have access to an additional 15%. There's almost no point in proccing the bow anymore, just so that you can have the 15% uptime. So basically I would switch off from Concealed. I would no longer run Concealed next patch. If they're going to go through with this change, I would drop Concealed and take a look at that. This is a no CP, right? This is no CP after a kill. So the change to Lotus is going to give you access to a gap closer. You're probably going to need slightly more Magicka recovery, because once you double proc Kina, and it's really easy to double proc Kina when you're running a Destro on the back bar. So you literally just race against time, light attack, swallow soul, and then immediately Concealed, and then gap closer to apply the debuff, the slow, and of course to make up for the dot, because we wouldn't be running cripple. You could in essence get rid of Lotus Fan to use actually I would use the other morph of cripple. That's probably an actual good change right here. Where is it? Because the other morph of cripple, debilitate, is going to give you the extra regen that you're going to need, because we're running two pieces of Molakina. Molakina in stealth, coming out of, actually won't be using stealth, so we're going to be sitting literally just shy of 4k spell damage. Still running the exact same gear, still running light armor, two-piece heavy, 5 willows, 5 amber plasm, 2 Kina, dual wield Destro. So you might be thinking like, well, where's your heals going to come from? Again, we still have enough HP regen with a pot. You're basically between Dark Cloak, and your HP regen is going to push you to 2k HP per tick. Swallow Soul is actually going to hit harder. Right now I get between 1,000 and I would say 1,300 comfortably on most targets. I'd say between 9 and 1,300 comfortably. And then of course I'll just use a spell power pot. I'll gain access to Reaper's Mark. When I secure a kill, I get 60% heal. Cut in half, it's 30%. I go right into Major Berserk. I'll probably either have my ult or close to it. I'd gap close, immediately light attack into an elemental weapon, and I probably would secure the next kill with a look at that tooltip on a no CP build. right? So once you secure a squishy kill, you're sitting at almost 15,000 soul harvest. That crits, you're literally going to be two-shotting people. I don't even need to run Impale anymore. Impale, I feel even now isn't worth running in no CP battlegrounds, but it's better than running the current Lotus Fan. And then of course we gain Race Against Time, and of course that's giving an extra 10% to our critical. So Nightblade's base is 1.6 because of their passive, and then of course we gain an extra 10%. So instead of this doing, like, this is going to be, let's just say 15k cut in half, that's 7.5k, right? So you crit somebody, even if they're running full impen in no CP, it's only 20%. So you're basically guaranteed 1.5 times damage on your soul harvest, right? So that would be, right, so it's like 7,500 times 1.5 would basically be an 11,000 crit, even if the person ran full impen. So you would literally be almost two-shotting anybody with like around 20k HP, because you'd gap close, light attack, elemental weapon, and then soul harvest dead. That would be, and at that point, when you have that much burst, because I can typically kill somebody on my Magblade right now in no C battlegrounds, especially light armor and medium armor build, within about 3 to 4 seconds if that person is not paying attention, because I'll just soften them up from ranged, and then once I cripple them, they'll usually dodge roll, and I'll wait for the dodge roll, cloak, concealed, light attack, concealed into a soul harvest, and they're typically dead, if not one impale away from dying. This next build will be super tanky, no longer reliant on people pulling you out of cloak, because you'll have so much damage reduction. You don't have to worry about the damage from spin to win, because you have a minimum of 25% reduction to AoE executes. Like, even the change that they're making to dual wield, it's like you could be low HP and you would take next to no damage, because you have a minimum of 25% reduction from Mirage, plus an additional 8% reduction on top of that, and then 15% from Merciless. And it would be easy to land your Merciless, because you would just go Light Attack, Mass Hysteria into a Spectral Bow proc if you needed the heal. So your heals would come from here, your base HP regen. You gain probably at least another 1k here. So you're basically every tick, when you're in combat, you're regenerating 3,000 HP, right? Not to mention whenever you secure a kill, and then of course you can save your Spectral Bow proc, because I believe the Merciless Resolve portion is going to be 50%, and you can take a look at that tool. This is no CP. This is no CP after a Reaper's Mark kill. On this build, it's worth using Reaper's Mark, because currently Magblade relies on stealth. So obviously if you Reaper's Mark your opponent and your opponent can't see you, then they automatically know there's a Nightblade near me or that's targeting me. If you're running a Brawler Blade, it's irrelevant because they see you. So that whole purpose of not using Reaper's Mark to have the element of surprise just goes out the window, right? So now you have access to Reaper's Mark. Now you have access to additional spell pen, because we're running light armor, right? So we're going to be sitting at 8,000 spell pen between Reaper's Mark and light armor. I don't need the stun from stealth anymore, which means I get an AoE CC, which will make it easier for me to get away when I'm fighting multiple opponents. I can still use Race Against Time. I have an AoE slow as well as now an AoE stun. In my opinion, if they go through this, like the Brawler Blade, I'm just gonna release the build right now. This is exactly what I would run for next patch. If they go through with the current changes, this is exactly what my melee Magblade will look like. Slightly a little less HP, but it doesn't matter because I'm not reliant on cloak anymore. I have so much damage mitigation and my heal over time, even though even though I dropped. Oh, that's right, and I would run the lover so that even my light attack weave would be a little bit more, would do a little bit more damage, and overall, spell pen does more than if I was running, for example, spell damage. Right, you can see my effective spell power right here is 10,263. So if I were to run the apprentice, it would go down. Right, so the pen is actually better. The only difference is that if you run spell damage, of course your tooltips are affected by the spell damage, and that only matters if you were running a resto, right? If you were running a resto, then you would go with more damage because it would affect if you were running like mutagen or something like that, one of those heals, or if you were running resto alt, then it would affect that. But since the healing is based on the damage, we can get away with using the lover for more overall damage because our healing is based on how much damage we do, so it wouldn't matter. So even tanky individuals that either run block or run heavy mitigation, we're running the 4400 from light, 4800 from light, another 5200 from Reaper's Mark, and then you gain an additional, I think it's 23 and change from the lover, and then of course I would keep 2 divines. I don't even think I would still need to run Impen because I would have so much damage reduction.